I was just speaking with our guest, Natalia, about websites and SEO, and we were commiserating that it's one point that's a bit of a black hole for ESL teachers and everyone. You kind of either know it or you don't. And I don't know about you, but for me, it was really daunting in the beginning to figure out what I needed and how to do it. And I was in a lucky position where I had a contact who could design my website for me initially, but I had to keep up and learn and ask the questions because now I have to maintain and update it all on my own, which has included adding extra pages and reformatting things. So anyways, let's get to the crux of the issue and introduce to you Natalia of Totomi, which is a similar situation to my own business. She provides websites for tutors of all disciplines. Do you want to give yourself a little introduction, Natalia?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for having me, first of all. I'm so glad to share the experience. And you're right, it looks like a black hole. First of all, because people who are selling different services, they just try to make it difficult for you, such that you feel, oh, I need somebody else's help.
Oh my gosh, right? Yes.
Two is there are very well-established companies. So go to Google and type website builder. You're going to have a list of 20 or 30.
Absolutely.
But they're not the right solutions for private tutors. Why? Because they provide to all different industries. So think of this, they are a website builder for a person who has a hair salon, who has a chain, lawyer, private tutor too, but a big school, a small school. That's why it is so difficult, because they are super flexible, which means they have so many features. 90% of them you just simply don't need.
You don't need, right? Yeah. Okay. So why do freelance ESL teachers need a website then, Natalia?
Answer to this is very simple, because you are wearing two hats at the same time. So you're an educator and a teacher to your students, but also secondly, you're a business person. You don't have this middleman like a school or agency or whoever to take care of the business side. And that's where the website comes into play. And to understand how, put yourself in your client's shoes, how they find out about you and how they make decisions. Because I like chatting with private tutors, they always tell me which ways work better for finding students, which less. There's common sense into this. There are 3 pillars that everything is based on, the decisions are being made. First of all, they have to trust you. That's why the old-fashioned referrals are so great. That's why social media is so great, because somebody's following you for a bit or see how much content you have and they trust you. 2, they need to know basic things about you to assess this. I call it basic fit assessment. It's about very simple things. Can they afford your rate? Especially if you're ESL, you tutor globally, right? So for somebody in Pakistan, you living in California where I live, there's no way they would be able to pay for rates here, simply because cost of living are different. And the third one, you want to look professional. And only then people decide to contact you, not before. And it's not even that they are going to ask you, oh, please book me a lesson. No. They're just going to ask for more information. And the website is this first assessment they make. Is it worth my time to ask more questions? So is it worth to ask for this self-assessment or consultation? And that's where you take it from.
Super good answer. Right. Okay. Which leads us to, is there anything that you think teachers shouldn't include? So I know there's a bit of a argument, let's say. It's probably not as, big as that, but whether you should include rates on your website or not, or whether you should save that for when your potential clients are further down your sales funnel. So what would you say is best not to put on your website?
I think obviously rules, there's a ton of rules, right? Hundreds of them. And people are going to have very different opinions about them. When I talk to teachers, make things simple. So to address your first part, to put your rates, I would say yes, because you want to avoid the traffic who would never become your client anyway, right?
Okay, yeah.
But obviously, you might have your internal point of view where you are not so, let's say, firm on the rate. You might give a discount, but say it too. So show rates, but make it flexible. So the ways, for example, the tutors I've seen put on our website is, oh, my range is from this to this, depending whether you are like younger or you are older. With younger students, sometimes they say, oh, it's more expensive because they need more attention.
Right.
Or they say, okay, I can give you 45 minutes, or I can give you 60 minutes. That's the rate for 60 minutes. That's for 45 minutes. Or they simply say, contact me for discounts if you buy a package.
Yes.
So I would say always put the rate, because otherwise you're gonna be bombarded by people who are gonna try to lowball you on the rate.
Yeah, and time wasters who are gonna do your trial and then not have really any intention of joining. Yeah.
And obviously, even if you put a rate, you're not gonna block those people totally, but at least you're gonna limit your time, and that's where you waste time.
Right.
Your real pressure is time.
Right.
That's why I would suggest put it. There's another, like, obviously there's like ton of rules about in general website design. I would suggest you to keep in mind only a few tips, and the rest is like general sense. If you feel that's right for your business, do it. So the totally tips that avoid for whatever reason is, don't put videos on autopilot, which means don't put videos. Videos are perfect on your website. Just make sure they don't start playing with a noise when somebody opens your website.
Yes, right? Good point.
So basically, imagine somebody sitting in the restaurant just checking your website. You have no control whatsoever where people are viewing your website. And suddenly there's a huge noise because you start talking on this video, right? Just make sure, as a given, they're muted. If you import from YouTube, I think it's even the default option. And then people can switch it on and off. And because you have this option, make sure you add captions too, such that people, even if they are in the environment, they can't listen and they can still read it to make it attractive.
Right. Okay. You mentioned earlier that you can be bombarded as a new web designer if you Google like website design or whatever. What would you say the main options are for teachers?
So for teachers, it really depends who you are. So I would think about this. You want to have a house. You have two options. You buy a land and you build your totally tailored house, double windows or double doors, this shape, bigger, smaller, and so on. You choose flooring, but then you have to spend time educating yourself about what kind of materials you have. You have another option, which I think is best for individual, like those kind of one-stop businesses, so one-person businesses, like many of you are. Look for solutions which focus only on private tutors, because they are not going to give you flexibility. So for example, they're going to have a template that you use, but what you optimize is time, because they are going to know which information are essential for your website, which are not. And that's the same as you go and say, okay, I want to buy the house in the neighborhood. You can make some changes, like you can move a wall here or there, but you can't really demolish the house totally.
Well, and what I found when I was, co-creating my website was to have somebody that knows the integrations and the plugins that work best for our line of work saves so much time, because there are thousands of integrations and plugins out there.
Exactly.
So
also each solution, and you're going to have 4 solutions really, and each have a disadvantage and advantage. One will be like you found a person who can help you out and just take you through the process. Sometimes it's going to be even a friend, but it costs money and it takes time.
Yeah, it does.
Because
you don't know going in how much time really.
Exactly. I actually
when you hire someone, you still plan everything, every word, every image, every design feature, every color. You do have to do a lot of it yourself.
Yes. Or what happened to one of my friends who went this route, like people just become non-responsive. Like, they go for vacation, they don't tell you, and you want to launch the website, those kind of things happen.
Well, you're at somebody else's will, really.
Yes, exactly. On the other hand, they are super flexible. They know what they are doing. If you are lucky to select a good one, right? Yeah. There's another way. So you can obviously avoid the middleman, so this person, and you go directly to places like WordPress, Wix, Squarespace. These are the best known big guys.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And again, this has advantages, disadvantage. Disadvantage is to create a nice website yourself, it's super time consuming because you have to learn the platform where they have certain features, and you have to learn basic rules for website design, where to put this action button, like what colors, like
Right.
to add words behind the image, because they drive your SEO and so on. On the other hand, they are very flexible. You can literally do almost anything on those.
Right.
So this is a good solution if you have time or somebody who can help you.
Mm-hmm.
And also if you are bigger, like let's say a school who hire few tutors. So you're just an entity.
Right.
Then there's a third option. Third option is more for those like one-person businesses type of solutions. Look for website designs, website builders, which are going to tell you we are only for private tutors, nobody else, because they did the work for you. So they already put the action buttons where they should be. Sometimes they even build funnel for you. You just insert information, like various options.
Wow.
The disadvantage is they're less flexible.
Yeah.
So for example, if a tutor would like to drive a search engine optimization and build a blog, that's like not so easy with them because they are not the best place to host a blog, right? Or inserting videos wherever you want. You can, because they're going to provide a space for you where you have to insert this video. You can't choose to move it somewhere else, right?
Oh, wow. Good to know.
Or for example, they're going to provide you integration, like payment integration, and it's going to be one payment, very often Stripe simply, right? Versus you might want somebody different. So this is what it counts. But what it does for you, it saves you a lot of time, and you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to learn how to create this website. You don't have to have even good sense for colors, how to put them together. You know, to make it attractive.
Good design sense.
Exactly.
And theoretically, then, if you are being hosted by a company like this, you've got tech support on call as well, which for me is massively helpful. Yeah.
Yes. So what I do for people, for example, like I know that their success is my success. So if the website they create looks not the best, like they're not gonna see the value. So what I do, I review their website and I tell them, change this, move that here.
It's a personal touch.
And exactly. And for me, it doesn't take much time because I simply know those things. It's kind of standard thing to just share with people. Yeah. And they know, okay, I'm going to edit this one. So for example, people put like their effects because they charge in different currencies. Instead of putting the symbol, they're going to say a very long word like pound. Right. Just change this simple thing. It looks much better.
Right. Okay. So what happens in general if somebody has a website that is, online, it's been published, and they encounter a code breakage or they have 0 visitors? How do people solve that?
So these are two different topics.
Okay.
So let's treat them separately, because with any kind of like technical issues, so breakages and so on and so forth, there are a few steps you should consider. First of all, and the most important, make sure it's the website issue, not only your issue. So open the same website on different browsers, because it could be just one got some update, it just doesn't look great because there was a bug temporarily. 2, open the website on different computers. Could be you just got some software update on yours and just, demolish everything, and it just looks like this. And back in all those updates, bugs happen too, and very often like engineers then get them back shortly after they realize. So just make sure it's not just your device. Maybe just see your website totally okay. And the third one, which happened to me, and it's very, very common, when in the browser you're going to have those 3 dots very often for more settings and options. If something wrong has happened, make sure to clear the history. So for example, I was working on our own website and I couldn't see anything. And my engineer was saying, like, what do you want from me? Everything is perfect. I had to eliminate all caches and those kind of crap to make it look okay. It just remembered the old version simply, and they got into conflict.
So it's not too difficult to go back and clear caches and so forth to fix that sort of thing.
It just tells you clear history.
Right.
And now where the real bugs happen or real breakages happen, because this package is the most common where no breakage really exists. You think it exists, it doesn't. The real issues come when there's like, you find an error which is called internal server error. And this one you have to just contact your web hosting company. Very often it's just gonna disappear because they know and they are trying to fix it. It's gonna disappear within a few hours. So I wouldn't even get alarmed by this. Just wait an hour here and there. They're gonna probably fix for you, and you know, if not, contact them. That it persists.
Right.
Two is with individual plugins. So you might see your website is great, but for example, clicking on payments doesn't take you where it should. And this is the third-party update issue. So could happen that the Stripe or whoever plugin you have, they had some updates and you don't comply with the newest anymore. So review this section only, because it's not going to be the website problem. It's going to be the plugin problem.
I see. Okay. So yeah, that sounds like a lot.
It sounds, although like majority of those issues, either somebody's going to contact you. So like web hosting, they know they have an outage or something. They're going to let you know. Or it's your browser thing. So make sure it's real problem, not just you think it's a problem. So clean the caches, check on various devices on different browsers.
Good. Okay. But what if you realize you're looking at your analytics and you're not getting any visitors? What would you do in that case?
Yes. So that's the problem, which I find people create the best website ever. They just don't do anything with this, or they do wrong things. So the first scenario is most likely. So they create beautiful website and they let it sit on the internet and they think they're going to find people and students. Not the case. You have to have the strategy. For example, if you use referrals, how do you let your existing clients, you have a website, and then how to encourage them to share their website with their friends? So basically it's building a funnel in the end. So make sure you have a strategy for people to find your website. Another one is building a community and social media presence. And now don't make the mistake where it leads to the second bucket I mentioned. People just do it in the wrong way. So I've seen very often they create Facebook pages, and this is so common, and they just post photos or logos of they don't care about engagement at all. And if just somebody sees your logo of your company, would they care to go to your website or something? No, attract them to their website. So say, what do you have on their website? Maybe give some freebie. Freebie is a free gift, like free, I don't know, quiz about something, free lecture that you have on YouTube.
A lead magnet.
Exactly. And or lead magnet. Yeah, that's the same thing.
Okay, so would you say that it would be difficult for a new someone who is new to web design or to having a website of their own to do that, to attract people to their websites?
It's not difficult. It's more the ability to put yourself in your client's shoes. What do they care about? And if this kind of abstract thinking is difficult for you, think how you make decisions about going to certain hairdresser, or like why do you pick this manicure person? So like simple things. When you go to Google Maps because you're looking for something locally, who are you gonna contact? The person who has a website or the person who just gives their mobile? Right? Obviously, you're gonna look more into the person who has a website, right? Or who are you gonna check more? The person who is gonna tell you, oh, check what level in terms of like English. So let's say you are teaching English to like third grader, right? Are you meeting the minimum standards or no? Have a call with me. I'm gonna help you assess it. Or where are your weak spots that you should work more? You can put
Right.
it on autopilot even, so you can create a quiz or kind of assessment for people to figure it out themselves if you just don't want to lose time on individual consultations.
Right. Okay. Which brings us to discussing SEO. So what is SEO?
That's interesting because there is so much attention about this topic. Versus, I don't think it's a really good solution for private tutors. If you are one business person, not if you are bigger, obviously. So let me tell you why. Search engine optimization is how well you are visible in particular Google search. Like the most common one, Google, right? You're gonna have Bing or others one, but like whenever I say Google, I just think about any type of engine, right? So how closely to top do you rank? The higher, the better, because people are not gonna almost ever go to the second page on Google. They're just gonna look at the first one.
Right.
And now, how is SEO? How SEO rank is coming together? Basically, it's like small bots that crawl the internet and they check what do you have on the website, what kind of information, and then it's testing with visitors who put this sentence, let's say ESL tutor, whether they want to, first of all, check your website because they feel it's valuable. Second of all, how long do they stay? Because if they just go there and just go back, return, it means that they didn't find what they were looking for, right? So they will push your ranking lower if they discover this.
Right.
And there are two, like in general, SEO, when you talk to specialists from SEO, they're going to tell you in the end of the day, it's a like black box. Nobody knows. So because Google doesn't tell how the whole algorithm, that's the whole algorithm where you have like, you know, ratios. This is worth this one. This is worth this one. And you add them up, right? Okay. They're not going to tell you exactly how the algorithm works, but for sure, we know two things. One, your content matters. So this is where people are looking for keywords to rank their website. But if you just pay somebody to get these done for you, you would never succeed in SEO, because the other one is backlinks. So what you should do is to you should display your content on other websites to link back to your website. The more people go through this, it means the more valuable your website is. So if you just focus on keywords, that's not going to win anything, really. That's why when I look at this, it's like an ongoing war that private tutors, I think like small businesses, 1-2 people, can't win themselves. Because one, it's about the right keywords that you have. It's about number of backlinks that you have, but it is also about like number of content you produce. And there's obviously way around it. You can pay somebody to produce so much content, you really rank highly, right, in certain keywords. But there are better ways to do it. So for example, when I compare different businesses, I always think how people usually find you, right? So I have this type of business where I need 1,000 visits on my website, and maybe 1%, half of the percent of people are going to convert, right? Versus tutors are this type of business, which we call, they need qualified leads, which means people who already know them and are highly, they give high percentage of conversion. So let's say you might need only 30 people, but you're going to have conversion on 30 to 50% because these people know you, right? You have exactly the same result. Or even better. Right?
It's a little bit like Facebook in that you get seen more if you get more interest and participation.
Yes, exactly.
All right. We've only got a little while left, so let's see if anyone has some questions and can get more specific about what they particularly want to know. So if you have a question, everyone, please press the raise hand button, which is along the bottom bar of your Zoom screen, or just go ahead and unmute yourself. Anybody have a particular question before we carry on? just have a few minutes left.
It's okay also if you post later on your questions in the group, we can always come back to them. And also we know majority of people, they can't really join today. So what's going to happen, they're going to re-listen this. So we are going to keep an eye on the chat also in the group later on. So we can always
okay, a couple of great questions. But Deborah says, besides putting video on silent, what else should we avoid when building? Let's talk about a really sort of bare bones, maybe 1 or 2 page freelancing website. Is there anything else that they shouldn't put up there?
Yes, they are. Actually, it's the way how not to do the website, not really to put as an input. You are gonna be likely to use your desktop or laptop to develop your website, right? Because it's the most comfortable way. Now, more than 50% of your visitors, they're gonna see you on the mobile. So make sure, okay, you work on desktop because that's the most convenient way of doing it. But before you launch your website or after you launch and you want to review it, open your mobile and check how it looks there.
Ah, very clever.
Yes.
Yeah, because it looks different on PC, tablet, mobile phone, and you need to optimize the layout for all 3.
Exactly. And obviously, like if you use templates like Wix or Hours or whoever else, we call it responsiveness. So that the same website looks good on different screen sizes, but sometimes it's the matter of how much input you include. So for example, your action button that should be the first thing you see that when people land on your website, it's just going to push slower and people can't see it.
Right.
So make sure that the way it looks on your mobile, it's the way you want it to look. And the other one, this is obvious, but this is something that I think many people get in the trap with. So people like you, when they ask others to help them build a website, they build it, it's nice, and they forget about it. And what happens over time, your prices change. Maybe you add something to your subject, maybe you kind of narrow it down because you want to get deeper and serve a niche of clients versus what you had before.
Right.
Make sure the information on your websites are up to date. That's why either keep the relationship with the person who built it to change it for you.
Right.
Or you learn how to do it, or just select a tool that is so super easy to update that you can do it yourself. Like, look, you don't need any help when you are creating your Facebook profile. That's how the good template and website builder should look like. That you can do it at your own time without
the drag and drop.
Knowledge.
So something like Wix, which is more restrictive, but does allow that drag and drop. Whereas Imad just asked, what about using WordPress? Some people say it's easy to use and easy to manage. And I would say probably WordPress is one of the more difficult ones, wouldn't you?
Yes, I think they just simply serve slightly different needs. So for example, Wix are going to give you reports and statistics for your website itself, right? Versus WordPress, you need to connect Google Analytics. Why? Because WordPress try to make it more flexible for, I think, bigger players. Simply they're even not these small schools, but even higher. Let's put it this way. So there are different steps of tutor. You're going to have this one-person businesses. Then you're going to have slightly bigger ones, so small schools very often. And then you are going to have big players, like really big corporates using WordPress. And what they need is flexibility because they have different metrics to track, for example.
Yeah, I would say WordPress is great once you get your head around it, but it's a steep learning curve for a complete novice.
Yes.
It's doable though, particularly if you can integrate like Elementor or something that is a little bit more drag and drop into WordPress.
Yes, although even with Wix, I keep hearing so many complaints, exactly because it gives too much flexibility. If you are one business tutor or one person tutor.
Right, of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So does it need to be expensive?
Not at all. Actually, most of them are not. So for sure, I would avoid those kind of, of course, if you're on the budget, then you have no choice. There are free options too. I think Wix has one too, if you use their own domain. So if you have domain and then just put your name, it's free. So this is a good tool where you have it for free. But you are going to have free options as well for if you're on Google My Business, they give you free website, but it's like super crap. Why? Because it's not their business. They just do it on the side.
Right.
So think who does the website for their main business. The same is with MailChimp. So MailChimp, if you have free website with them too. But then so I had a person who built his website. First of all, it's so basic, it doesn't really look good. But second of all, he discovered this MailChimp doesn't make your website rank in Google. So not that you are top rank, you don't exist in Google at all.
Yeah.
So those kind of small things that matter, because think how your students find you. Very often they hear your name and last name because somebody else was your student, or they find you on social media. They go to Google and type your name and last name and maybe tutor of, I don't know, ESL or a tutor of English, whatever. And that's how they find you, not typing very often general terms like English tutor. Very few people search this way.
True. Okay, great point. Let's wrap it up there. Thanks for joining, everyone.